everybody, Eddie Heinzelman here. Thanks so much for dropping by. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but it's been kind of crazy trying to get some things going as things are getting going again, if that makes sense. So today I thought I'd do a couple things. I got some friends coming by the shop, and before they get here, I thought I would work on my Paisley Strat. Pretty heavy finish on the neck. One of the things I did recently, I did set it up and let it sit for a little bit, so I'm trying to just fine-tune it some today. Here recently, I guess from not using it as much and not checking on it as often as I should have, I got just a little bit of fret sprout. So I'm going to just knock those off and those edges off real quick, and then we'll dig into the intonation. So when we're talking fret sprout, we're basically talking about the edges of the frets coming up past the wood on the side here. And you can typically run your finger across there and feel the fret. What happens is the wood shrinks a little bit due to humidity changes, and then the frets, the metal doesn't shrink, and it just sticks out just a touch. So I have a triangle file. The thing with this triangle file is it is flat on one end. The spot with no teeth goes towards the wood, so it doesn't mark up the wood. And in this particular case, I'm gonna move this string out of the way. I'm not gonna take off the strings to do this. We're just gonna move that first string out of the way, get some clearance. This is my guitar, not a customer's guitar. Just touch the fret and get that little edge, that little barb off. You can hear it, just one or two strokes. Very lightly. I'm not pressing. I'm letting the file do the work. Some people will say that you need to go in a rolling motion. So if you have the edge of the fret that you, let's see, here we go, that you would, go down. That depends on the file that you're using. If you're using more of a flat file, so if I was using this flat edge only, then I would probably need to do that. But with this triangle file, the way it's made, I don't need to roll as much. I just need to take off the burr, on the squared part of the fret. And what I found too is with this file, if I roll with it, I tend to contact the neck fingerboard more and can actually mark up the fingerboard. So I'm very careful with this file not to do that. Again, it's flat on the one edge, run that against the wood, and the rest of the teeth just are automatically in position. I don't need to roll it. So there you go, just a few minutes. Knock those burrs, just those sharp little edges off. Can't really, it feels really good now. What I like for my action, okay, I use a string action gauge, and I use 64ths of an inch to measure the action at the 12th fret. I like 10,000ths of relief in my neck, typically. I don't like a really flat neck, and I certainly don't want more than 10,000ths of relief. Again, it's a preference to the player. Some people like their fingerboards or their relief very flat. I like 10,000ths of relief in my neck. So in this particular case, it is a little flat for my taste, but I'm going to leave it for right now. Most of the time on my guitars, I go 3/64ths of an inch at the first string, and then I travel up to 4/64ths on the sixth string. So 3/64ths at the first and second strings, typically. The third and fourth strings are going to be about 3.5/64ths. They're going to slowly gradiate up, and then I'm going to be at 4/64ths roughly for the for the 6th string by the time I get to the 6th string. Right now, the action on this is a little suspect in a couple spots. 3/64 on the 1st and the 2nd. It's 3.5 on the 3rd, which I like. It's 4 on the 4th. It's 3.5 on the 5th. And it is just under 4 on the 6th. So that explains why, when I restrung this guitar and started playing it the other day, that it just didn't feel like it normally feels, or like I normally am used to my guitars feeling. So to adjust the action, we're going to use the little set screws in the saddles, and we're going to fuzzy in there. Why is there a fuzzy in there? So in this particular case, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th string was a little tall. So I'm just going to barely back off the saddle. We're going to tune it up and then measure it again. That was perfect. So now we're going to go to the 5th and raise it just a touch because it's a little low. Counterclockwise lowers it, clockwise raises it. And now we tune and check that. Yeah, now it feels really good. Now it feels real good. So if you like your setup a certain way, I take those measurements and I can set up all of your guitars in that certain way. If you like guitars set up differently, then that's fine. And I do the same thing. I have a couple guitars that I set up with lower action, and I have a couple, well, I don't necessarily set up guitars with higher action, but I have a couple guitars that I've set up with even lower action. So instead of 3/64, I've gone down to 2/64 is about as low as I can, kind of go with things. I have one that's down around a little over 2/64. It's harder to bend, at least for me, when the strings are that low. So that's definitely more of a setup for, if someone's playing sort of a more linear rock, metal, something with, where a lot of speed is the desiring factor versus bends. Let's talk intonation. One of the things that also happens with guitars as you play them, they're going to go, the intonation is going to waver. Again, wood, metal, things shift, you're moving things around. It's a good idea to have your intonation checked, annually, a couple times a year, whenever you think you need it, when you knock it out of tune because you dropped it, whatever. Action is the height of the saddles, up and down. Intonation is the horizontal movement of the saddles, front and back. And it's essentially the distance between the nut and the saddle, where the string connects to the saddle. The distance, has to be right for it to be in tune, because we're dealing with hertz and sound waves that don't alter. 440 is 440, so do the math. Play the harmonic at the 12th fret. You're going to tune that, and then you're going to play the note at the 12th fret. And the harmonic at the 12th fret and the note at the 12th fret should both be in tune. I use a Peterson strobe tuner. I'll show you that here in a second. We'll do this on the 5th string and the 4th string that I moved. If your fretted note is sharp compared to the harmonic, then it is too short, and you need to lengthen the string, which means the saddle needs to go back. If it is flat, it is too far. Harmonic at the 12th fret. That's a little sharp, just so let's make sure it's in tune. You've got to be very accurate. There, it's flat. So one of the things with intonation is you have to be very patient. And you have to, over and over, very minute changes to the saddle, and then checking again. Very sharp. This is still the harmonic. Hang on. There we go. That's really close. So I'm gonna call it there for now. Intonation is not quick. It's not a quick process. Hopefully your guitar is close to being intonated when it gets here, and I can do the setup, and then I just have to tweak it a little bit. If it's been a while since you've had an intonation and I really have to, crank on it, then it's going to take even longer. And one of the other things too is I set these things up, I do intonations, and then I let them sit, and I go back and check them. I have another trick, and I'm going to tell you right up front, I'm not going to show you. I have another trick for the way that I do intonations. I learned it from my tech, luthier, John Levan. It's how he always intonated my guitars. And I never knew it until he showed me a few years ago. And so it's a little secret. So that's why you'd want to bring it to me, to have your guitar intonated. That's a quick rundown of action, fret edges, intonation. Not showing you the whole thing. It's dry and boring to sit there and for me to share or have you stare at a tuner for another 30 minutes. What else is on the bench today? I have a couple friends coming over. Hopefully they'll be here pretty soon. Yeah, let's see what happens when Debbie and JJ get here and what else we're going to run into in the shop. So until then, I'm going to just play a little on this pink Strat. But thanks again for stopping by. Please hit that subscribe button, as always. I've got more ideas coming up. I got more lesson videos that I'm going to do now that I've found my camera. And so yeah, I thank you very much for sticking with me and your support. And we'll see you down the road. As always, stay tuned.